Punctuation marks. Do you know how to use them? Are you utterly confused? Watch this video for explanations, examples, and exercises. Look at this sentence. Kill him, not leave him. What does it mean? Do you kill him or do you leave him? Does it mean that you should kill him, not leave him? Or does it mean that kill him not, leave him? This sentence is ambiguous. How would you make it unambiguous? If you wanted to say that you should kill him, then put a comma after kill him. This is unambiguous. On the other hand, if you don't want to kill him, if you want to leave him, then put the comma after kill him not. This is also unambiguous. Now, do you understand the significance of punctuation? Punctuation is very important when writing essays, writing letters, writing emails, and so on. There are 6 punctuation marks which you must learn. 1, comma, 2, semicolon, 3, apostrophe, 4, colon, 5, hyphen, 6, dash. How do you use comma? A comma is used to separate the items in a list. Look at this sentence. How many items are there in this list? There are 3 items: economics, mathematics, and statistics. The second rule says to begin a sentence with a dependent clause or subordinate clause, use a comma. Do you know what a dependent clause or a subordinate clause is? First of all, do you know what a clause is? A clause is a word group that has a verb in it. Look at the examples of clauses. The words in blue are the verbs. Now, what is a dependent clause, or what is subordinate clause? Or what is a subordinate clause? A clause that begins with a subordinator is a dependent clause or a subordinate clause. Here you have a list of subordinators. Now you know that any clause that begins with a subordinator is a subordinating clause. And when a sentence begins with a subordinating clause, then a comma must be placed after the subordinating clause. Look at these sentences. The clauses in blue are the subordinating clauses. They begin with a subordinator, and there is a comma at the end of the subordinating clause. Now look at one more rule. It says a comma is used along with coordinating conjunctions to combine 2 independent clauses. Now look at the list of coordinating conjunctions. What is an independent clause? A clause that doesn't begin with a subordinator is an independent clause. Now observe the sentences which have 2 independent clauses joined with the coordinating conjunctions. What is the difference between these 2 sentences? The first sentence has a comma before the coordinating conjunctions. However, there is no comma before the coordinating conjunction and in the second sentence. Why? Because the second sentence doesn't have a subject after the coordinating conjunction and. First, when combining two independent clauses, if each clause has a subject, then a comma must be placed before the coordinating conjunction, whether it is and, but, for, nor, or, so, or yet. Here you have some more examples. Rule number 4. Adverbs in the middle of a clause. Here you have a list of adverbs, and when one of these adverbs is placed unusually in the middle of a sentence or a clause, then a comma must be placed before the adverb and after the adverb. Now, non-essential modifiers. What is a non-essential modifier? A non-essential modifier provides extra information about a noun. Usually, this extra information is well known and is placed between two commas. A non-essential modifier is a clause that can be omitted without changing the sentence's basic meaning. Look at these examples. The clauses in blue are non-essential modifiers. Even if these non-essential modifiers are removed from the sentence, the basic meaning of the sentence doesn't change. Now, read the rule 6. What does this mean? It means when you don't want to repeat the same verb across the sentence, then you could use it only once in the beginning and next time instead of the verb, and next time instead of the verb you could use a comma. For example, in this sentence, the main verb is arises. It says from law arises security. From security arises curiosity. Instead of repeating the verb arises, the author uses a comma. Similarly, in the second sentence, it says, we three prepared the lunch. I cooked rice, Joy cooked meat. So he doesn't want to repeat the verb cooked. Instead, he uses a comma. So comma is a replacement. Comma is used instead of the verb, the finite verb cooked. Similarly, you use the comma to set off words of direct address. When you address someone when you address someone in writing, place a comma after the name of the person. However, place the comma before the name of the person if the name appears at the end of your sentence. What is a serial comma? A comma used after the penultimate item in a list of 3 or more items, before and or is called a serial comma. Look at this example. You have a comma before and. It is common in American English. A serial comma is used after the penultimate item in a list of 3 or more items, before and or if each item is a phrase that is a word group. Look at this example. Here, and joins 3 phrases, namely singing in the church, playing soccer at school and dancing in the pub. Each item is a phrase, hence you have a comma before end. Rule number 8. Apposition. An apposition is a relationship between two nouns and two noun phrases which have identical reference. Look at the following examples of apposition. Here, one phrase is separated from the rest with a comma. However, they are not two separate entities. Both are same. One explains the other, or one tells the meaning of the other. Now, let us look at the rules for a semicolon. A semicolon joins two independent statements which are related. So this is the major difference between the comma and the semicolon. You use a comma to join a subordinating clause to an independent clause. But you use a semicolon to join one independent clause to another independent clause. Make sure that you remember all these conjunctive adverbs. Before a conjunctive adverb, a semicolon must be placed, and after the conjunctive adverb, a comma must be placed. When joining two independent clauses, you just use a semicolon but not a coordinating conjunction. However, if the clauses after the coordinating conjunctions have commas, then a semicolon must be used before the coordinating conjunction. The words in bold are the coordinating conjunctions. How do you use a colon? Use a colon after an independent clause to introduce a list. Before a colon, an independent sentence or an independent clause must be present. You could also use colon to introduce a quotation. How do you use apostrophe? Apostrophe is used in three ways: to show possession or ownership, to show plural forms, to show where a letter or number has been omitted. contractions versus possessives.